Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Museum of Glass. Today we have our resident team of glassblowers working, and we're going to be making these decanters. Each year we design a limited edition decanter and matching glasses for our annual fundraiser. We make a limited number of these pieces, and then we'll never make that design again. So each year it's something completely different. So just to get you started, I'm going to give you just a very quick introduction to how glass blowing works. Everything that we do here starts out in our glass furnaces. The glass furnaces are the machines where you see the doors closed. There's two of them, one on each side of the studio. If you look up on the big screen, you'll see a diagram. That's what the furnaces look like inside. So in each of the furnaces is a big ceramic pot. In that ceramic pot is 1,000 pounds of melted glass. We keep the melted glass at 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. And at that temperature, the glass has the consistency of honey. So if you can imagine a giant crock pot full of honey, that's what our furnace is like. When we want to get the glass out to make stuff, we take one of those steel pipes. Those are called blowpipes. And we dip them into the molten glass like you're dipping into a big jar of honey. You dip it in, twirl it around. A little bit of glass sticks to the end of the pipe. The pipe is hollow, so when you blow, the ball of glass blows up like a balloon. Once you get the glass out of the furnace, it only stays soft for a little while. So we do whatever shaping or blowing we can while it's hot and soft. And when it starts to get cool and stiff, we go to the second type of furnace, and those are called glory holes. The glory holes are the round furnaces with the doors open. Those have no glass in them. They're just a hot chamber for heating and softening the glass while we're working. If you've ever seen anybody work at a forge, making swords or horseshoes, they take the metal, put it in the fire, soften it. They work on it a little bit with a hammer, then back to the fire, soften it again, and work on it a little more. That's basically the same routine you're going to see here with the glass, because we only have a short period of time where the glass is soft enough to actually shape it easily. All the glass that's in those furnaces is clear glass. It has no color. We buy our colored glass separately, buy it in various forms. The form that we'll be using today is called Color Bar. We buy it from two companies in Germany. They have like 200 different colors. And what we do is we blow a bubble of clear glass from the big furnace, heat up a chunk of the colored glass, and then we coat that initial bubble with red or blue or green or purple. So we've started one of these decanters over on the right. That's on the right in the black shirt. That's Nick Davis. In the center, Sarah Gilbert, who's one of our resident team of glassblowers, who's going to be leading our team today, and Eden Gibbons, who's going to be helping us out. And there's one more glassblower who'll be out here shortly, Gabe Feenan. All the colors you see while we're working are going to be distorted by the heat. What you're seeing mostly is the glow from the heat, not the color of the glass itself. If you think about your own homes, if you have an electric stove, the burners are gray. When you turn them to cook something, they get hot, they glow orange for a little while. Turn them off, they cool down, the orange glow disappears, and they look gray again. That's the same thing with the glass. So while we're working, the heat, the glow from the heat will dominate, and that's what you'll be seeing. But once it cools off, it'll return to its natural color. The glass itself is made out of three main ingredients: sand, soda ash, and lime. Sand is the bulk of it. Glass is mostly melted sand. The soda ash is a chemical which lowers the melting temperature of the sand so it's easier to melt. The lime is calcium carbonate, and that stabilizes the mixture chemically. You take those three ingredients, throw them in the furnace, cook them overnight. They all melt together and make glass. So right now in the center, Sarah is shaping the bubble using a tool called the block. It's a scoop-shaped tool. It's made out of wood. It's stored in a bucket of water as long as the wood is wet. The tool doesn't burn. It doesn't leave any marks as she shapes the glass. So earlier today, we had a little bit of difficulty with this piece. When we broke it off the metal pipe, it was breaking off a little crooked. And so we're trying it again this time with clear glass to see if we can work out that problem. Generally, if we have to work something out in glass, we do it in clear, and then if we get the process figured out, we do it in color. You'll notice that one of the glass blowers is seated to the left of the workbench. That's Nick. He's the person that's blowing. He blows through that steel tube, the blowpipe, and inflates the glass as Sarah, sitting at the bench, shapes it. So we're blowing this into a mold. Gabe, sitting down, has the mold. We close it around the bubble. And Sarah blows and turns at the same time. When she feels that it's stiff enough to retain its shape, we'll take it out of the mold. They're debating whether that worked to their satisfaction. Does anybody have any questions so far? No questions? So when we try something with clear, we just put it in our little recycling bin, that kind of beer keg with the side cut out, and eventually that will all go back in the furnace. We'll bust it up with a hammer, wash it, and we'll put the stuff back in the furnace. If you're here with kids, we have a special contest for kids. Any kid 12 and under can do a drawing. Once a month, we pick one of the drawings and make whatever the kid drew out of glass. If you've been out in the lobby and looked around, you'll see a lot of examples. Uh, it's free to enter. There's no money involved. There's a table out there with drawing materials and entry forms. So you just go there. You don't have to pay anything. Go there, do your drawing, fill out your contact information, and if you win, we'll call you up, and we'll make 2 of whatever the kid drew, 1 for the kid to keep, and 1 for the museum collection. So all those things you see out there on display, there's an identical one which the kids have in their homes. Yeah.
How do you guys make the little tiny ones?
Little tiny ones. Oh, that's a different kind of glass blowing. That's called flame working, and it's done with a table-mounted torch, and they start with pre-made rods and tubes and work them over the table-mounted torch. So a lot of the paperweights that you see in that exhibition, those are done by flame working, not out of the big furnace. So Nick, in black shirt here, has blown a bubble of clear glass. Eden, over on the right, is heating up some of the blue glass, and we're going to coat Nick's bubble with the blue glass. Now, once again, when Eden comes out with the glass, it's going to be really hot, and it's going to look orange, but in fact, the glass we're adding is blue. So Nick is portioning off how much of the blue glass he wants. He's giving a little squeeze with that tool called the jacks. He makes a little notch in there, and that tells Eden how much glass he wants to use to coat this initial bubble. So we're going to drop a blob on top of the clear bubble. And Nick is going to roll it back over the clear bubble until it entirely coats it. Yes? Do we leave the furnace and the glory holes on? I'm just going to repeat things so that people know what I'm answering. The furnaces are on 24/7. They're never shut down. The glory holes are only on during the working day. We light them an hour before we start, and we shut them at 5 when we quit. An hour. Do you guys have any questions? Why is the fire red? Why are the flames red? Well, it gets hot, and the heat makes the glass glow, and I guess the color that it glows is kind of it looks to me like an orange, but if you think it's red, it's red.
Are they trying to cool it down like that?
They're trying to cool down the metal pipe, not the glass part. They got to hold the metal pipe, so it's got to be cool. The glass we want to keep hot because we got to make it soft to shape it.
Wait. So we could
if you win the contest, it's a contest. So we take a look at all the kids' drawings, and then we pick one each month to make. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, over on the right, Nick, shaping the glass using the block, B-L-O-C-K. Basically, the block acts kind of like a half-round mold, and we spin it in the half-round mold. It makes it nice and round and even. How hot is it? The glass furnace is 2,100 degrees. The glory hole is about 2,300 Fahrenheit. Natural gas. Yes. Yes, yes, we make them usually on the last Saturday of the month. Sometimes schedule gets changed, but usually last Saturday of the month. And we, whatever kid wins, they can bring their whole family down, and we make these things right in front of them. Yes. Is glass pretty forgivable when it's hot? It's sort of forgivable because you can always put it in the fire and make it soft again. But just like any process, there's certain things if you do them wrong, then you have to start over. Yes.
Glass blowing kind of like ceramics? Like if you have a small rogue bubble, does it like ruin the whole piece?
Is glass blowing? Does a bubble ruin the piece? That depends on your aesthetics.
Okay.
If you mind the bubble, then yes. If you don't mind the bubble, then no. It doesn't make a little bubble in the glass doesn't make any physical problem. Sarah's going to get her bubble really hot, and we're going to go into the mold. So Nick is blowing as Sarah shapes it. The tool in Sarah's hand is called the jacks. And you'll notice as Sarah shapes the glass, her assistant is holding a wooden paddle in front of her hand to shield her from the heat. Yes. That's correct. Well, there'll be the clear bubble, so the actual inside will be clear, There'll be a thin layer of blue, then a bunch of clear over that. So when we blow it up, basically the colored layer lines the object with color. So if you look at the example over on the pedestal, it looks like it's made out of blue glass, but really it's only a thin lining of blue glass. Now this only applies to kind of art and craft glass. In a big factory, they would have a separate furnace filled with blue and make, 10,000 blue bowls. So now we're going to add some decorations. Gabe in the gray shirt is coming over with a little bit of clear glass. And Sarah's going to make these kind of inverse drip decorations. Can we put up the photo after they finish decorating it? So we're going to add 4 of these drips. Yes, sir. What happens if you inhale instead of exhale? Nothing. We have a number of techniques where we suck it in on purpose. No, when the air reaches the opposite side of the pipe, it's not even warm. So now Gabe has collected some glass to make the base. And when the glass is fresh and hot and gooey, if we see something in there, a bubble or an impurity that we don't like, we can yank it out, snip it off, and then round the whole mass out again. And that's what he's doing. Certain shapes that are easier than, yes. So just looking at these things here, the cylindrical ones are easier. The low, wide, shallow bowls are actually much harder. So we've added a little solid base to the decanter. The next part of this process is to transfer the decanter from the rod it's on now, the blowpipe, to a second steel rod called the punty, P-U-N-T-Y. The punty will act as a temporary handle to hold the decanter from the bottom while we shape the top. So Gabe has coated the end of that rod with a little bit of molten glass to make it sticky. And he's going to bring it to Sarah. Sarah will attach it. Sarah's shaping up the base. So Gabe's coming over with the punty. We'll stick it on the bottom. Hot glass sticks to hot glass. When Sarah feels that's properly attached, we'll break the glass away from the original pipe. She's going to score it with a file. Give the pipe a tap, and off it comes. So now it's held from the bottom. The top is exposed. Now we can shape the neck. You guys have any questions you want to know? What about the little glass that's left on the old rod? That we can't use that glass because it picks up steel from the pipe, and so it's polluted. So we can't reuse that. Yep. Glass is pretty inert in the environment, so it's not a big issue that way. We do save whatever excess clear glass that we have. If we have clear glass scrap, we bust it up, wash it, and it ends up going back in the furnace. But not the glass that's wrapped around the end of the pipe. Yes? Sand? Most sand is quartz, small pieces of quartz. Any sand anywhere on the beach will make glass. The whiter the sand is, the clearer the glass will be. We're going to make 35 of them, and that will be a limited edition, and we'll never make this design again. Sarah's going to flare the top with the jacks, those metal tongs. Eden, standing up, is going to hold a wooden paddle across the top to make sure that it's nice and straight and flat. So we're pretty much done. Everything that we make here has to be cooled slowly or it'll break. So we're going to take it off the metal pipe and we're going to put it in that big black oven over there. That's called the annealer. And we're going to cool it slowly overnight. So we keep that at a constant temperature all day long We place all the objects we make during the day in there, and then at night it has a little computerized thermostat that slowly turns the temperature down to room temperature. So let's have a hand for the Museum of Glass Hot Shop team. Sarah Gilbert, Gabe Feenan, Nick Davis, and Eden Gibbons. Can we put up some of the previous designs? So we have some each year, it's a different set. And we'll make all those, we'll make a limited edition of each design, and we'll never make those designs again.
When they take the pieces, stick it back in the furnace, and they feed back to Sarah, why did they put a torch on it?
Why do they put the torch on it? We want extra, when we use the torches, we can focus the heat in a particular place. If we want to work on one part of the glass, but not disturb the rest of the shape, we can heat that part up with the torch. It gets extra hot and soft, and then we can shape that part without disturbing the rest of the object. Glass is a poor conductor of heat, so you can heat up one part, make it soft, without making the whole thing soft. We use pencil and paper or chalk on the floor of the hot shop. Yeah. How many glasses? Two. These guys over on the right are starting the next one. Nick is pushing that color backwards towards the pipe until it entirely coats the original bubble. We call this a color overlay. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah. Yep. They put on gloves when they're uncomfortable. If they're, you'll see, I think Sarah's been wearing a glove. Yeah. But. Sort of. Not, I mean, They're more or less interchangeable. Um, Today, Nick is starting them and Sarah's finishing them. But on another day, yeah, Nick might be starting and Sarah might be starting and Nick might be finishing it. Yes. Why? Good question. Well, if we turn the furnace off, the glass in the big ceramic pot would solidify. And if we left it off long enough, it would tear up the inside of the furnace. Also, we'd have a big giant block of glass and we couldn't work the next day. Yeah. Okay. We have how we make the glass. We get the glass in a form called batch. Batch is pretty much like a cake mix. It's got all the ingredients, but it's not glass yet. We get it in 50-pound bags. We shovel it into the furnace, cook it overnight. All the chemicals melt together and make glass. We have two furnaces, so we'll work one down till it's almost empty, and then we'll switch to the full one, and in the one that we just emptied, we'll cook up more glass. And then back and forth, back and forth. So Nick's taking his pipe over to the pipe cooler. We lay the steel pipe in that trough if it's hot, and we spray water on it. That cools it down and makes it easier to hold. Makes it easier to hold.
It was amazing.
That's super often.
The talk of the evening.
Just, glass is fickle. Sometimes it goes wrong. You have to roll with it.
I imagined there would be a way to repair it, but maybe not.
No, probably, mostly not. But we have 3,000 pounds of glass. We could always make another one.
A certain amount of time invested in it.
Yeah.
Frustration if it
just have
doesn't
to
work out
deal
the
with
way you want it.
Well, we save whatever clear glass that has no color. We save that and we recycle that. What? Yeah. You can, because the big furnaces where we melt all the glass, it's all clear glass. And we can't throw little bits of red and blue in there because that would not Sarah's making a little narrow section, and that's going to eventually become the neck of the decanter. We're going to close the mold around that bubble. And Sarah's going to blow and turn the pipe at the same time. We turn the pipe so that we don't get a little parting line where the two halves of the mold meet. If we blow and we keep turning, the entire surface will be smooth. Ballpark. That's a good question. That's not a bad question.
Workshop to the right, where
That room. That room has
they're much too big. I mean, they're maybe 5 foot diameter.
no other air. That doesn't have windows that open. Air in there as well. Yeah, we do have. Hold your hand out. So we have air. That's the air coming into the shop. The air for the compressor, we have dedicated fan. Right there. You want to know how we put the stripes on those? Is that what you're asking? Can we put up the picking up cane on a bubble? So these rods of colored glass are called cane, like a cane you walk on. We lay out our stripe pattern on a plate, if you look up on the big screen. And then we roll our bubble over the little rods of colored glass. The little rods stick to the surface, and then we melt them in, and each rod becomes a stripe. And then once the whole thing is melted in and soft, then we twist the bubble, and the stripes, instead of going just straight up and down, twist around in a spiral. And so that each stripe started out as one of these. Well, they're outside, but we melt them in. So it sticks to the surface and then heat the thing up. So it's melted into the surface, and it's no longer a physical rod, it's just a stripe.
person in a production room?
There is. There's a Chris is sitting up there. He's looking at a big computer screen and listening to my nonsense, and
And picking the camera angle.
he can pick the camera. He can put up various illustrations.
Like right-handed glass stations.
Say that again?
They look like they're right-handed stations.
Yes.
Do they have left-handed stations, or does
They,
someone have to
uh,
learn how to do it
Most
right-handed?
99% of glass shops are set up for right-handers. The only place you really see left-handed is if a left-handed person has their own studio,
Okay.
and they can set it up in the opposite direction.
So it's like playing guitar. You need to learn how to do it right-handed.
Yeah, if you want to be portable,
Okay. Okay.
but you can, there are people who are left-handed, and they set it up left-handed for their own.
Okay.
So we're going to transfer the glass from the rod it was originally blown on to a second steel rod called the punty. The punty, the second steel rod, will hold the decanter from the bottom while we shape the top. Sarah's going to score the glass where we want it to break with a file. Give it a tap, and off it comes. When we first start out, we blow a bubble of clear glass from the furnace. We heat up a chunk of colored glass, and then we coat that initial bubble with the colored glass. Because it probably happened before you got here. But we'll be doing it again soon.
We have another question.
What are they going to do with?
They just transferred the workpiece from one rod to another, and there was some on the first rod that they took it off of.
Oh, the glass that's right around the metal rods, it picks up some metal from the pipe, so we can't reuse that glass.
To get it off of the rod, you could just whack it with the hammer.
No, but it actually picks up some iron from the pipes.
Right.
And
You asked me how to get it off.
oh, how to get it off? The glass, we just put it in a metal bucket, and hot glass sticks to hot steel. It doesn't stick to cold steel. So when it cools off, it naturally pops off.
Thank you.
Sarah's going to widen the opening at the top using the jacks, those big metal tongs. Now Sarah's going to flare the top, make a little flange at the top of the neck. And we're almost done with this. Everything that we make here pretty much has to be cooled slowly or it'll break. So we'll take it off that rod, we'll place it in that big black oven over there, and we'll cool it down slowly overnight. You look a little perplexed. Oh, yeah.
Wake up every morning cool.
Yeah, well, we have to open the door and let out some of the heat, but it's usually ready sort of late in the morning of the next day.
The software I would use to control its temperature. It's a little bit of a paradox. You also need it hot in the morning because you're making new things that need to go in.
There's a little computerized controller which we can program with time and temperature. It's pretty, the control thing's pretty primitive. So into the annealing oven, where it'll be cooled very slowly overnight. So let's have a hand for the Museum of Glass Hot Shop team, Gabe Feenan, Sarah Gilbert, Eden Gibbons, and Nick Davis. So it's a clock motor. And- yeah, well, it was a clock motor, and it had a disc mounted on the clock motor. And you'd program it by cutting the disc, and a little arm would lean on the disc, and the bigger.
The curve will control the thermostat.
Yes, there would.
I know some eccentric cams.
Yes,
That's the way people used to do things before software.
it was great. It was, in some ways, it worked better than with computerized control because everything was mechanical. So if something went wrong, you could see it. The computerized controllers, they can be a bit of a black box.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I could fix the whole thing myself. same thing we were talking about before. It does really cool things, but you never know what it's thinking.
And sometimes it makes things up.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really tell. And it can have, biases built into it. You don't even know that they're there.
I found a lot of honesty bias where they
Collecting the glass to make the, yes. What? Yes, well, they start out by blowing a bubble of clear glass, and they heat up a chunk of blue glass and coated the original bubble with blue, and then more clear over that. 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's about as hot as the hottest volcano. So having a glass furnace is kind of like having your own private volcano. Instead of lava, we have glass in there. So now Nick is going to dip in and put one more coating of clear glass over that. Behind that door, there's a big ceramic tank. In that ceramic tank is 1,000 pounds of melted glass. Stays melted 24/7. And we, obviously we use some of it, so it doesn't stay 1,000 pounds forever. But when it's full, it's 1,000 pounds. You guys have any questions?
What are they making?
We're making those. Well, can we put up the photo? That's probably easier for you. We're making the decanters that you see on that pedestal, but it's a little far away. Yes. Yeah, no, I just put up the picture because that's a little far away and tiny.
How hot are the flames?
Well, there's a whole bunch of different flames.
The current one, that they're in.
The glory hole, 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. So Sarah's shaping the glass using a tool called the block. It's a scoop-shaped tool. It's made out of wood. It's stored in a bucket of water. As long as the wood is wet, the tool doesn't burn, and it doesn't leave any marks as she shapes the glass. Does anybody have any questions? So Nick, seated to the left, is blowing. He's inflating that bubble as Sarah shapes it. Sarah's the woman in the black sweatshirt. So we're going to blow this into a wooden mold. It's a two-piece mold. We close it around the bubble. And then Sarah blows and turns the pipe at the same time. When she feels that it's stiff enough to retain its shape, we'll open up the mold and continue with the process. So now we're going to add some kind of drip style decorations. So we dab on the clear glass and then drag it down to the bottom. It makes these kind of drip style decorations. Can we put up picking up cane on a bubble? So look up on the big screen. So we lay out our design on a plate with these rods of colored glass. And then if you look up on the big screen, we roll the bubble over the cane. The canes stick to the surface and we melt them in. So they're no longer a three-dimensional rod, they're just a stripe. And then we twist the bubble, and that makes them spiral around like that. I used to be, not anymore. The next thing we're going to do is transfer the decanter from the rod it's on now, the blowpipe, to a second steel rod called the punty, P-U-N-T-Y. Gabe, in the gray shirt, is preparing the punty, and we're going to attach his rod to the bottom of the decanter, and then it'll hold it from the bottom while we shape the top.
And you bring out those funny sounds. That sound.
So we're going to attach the punty, the second steel rod, to the bottom of the decanter. When they feel that attachment is firm, Sarah's going to take a file and score the glass at the top. Oh, no file this time. Just water, a little tap. Well, there's a hole at the, there's a hole here. At the bottom, there's like a little, it leaves like a little dimple. We'll, at the end of the process, we'll take a torch and melt that little dimple. If we need it super clean, we can grind and polish that surface. Yes. These are only going to be sold at our annual fundraising auction which is September 19th. I don't know what they're going to cost a lot. I think they're like $350 a piece. But, it's a fundraising thing, and it's a limited edition. We have some, we make this kind of stuff that you see here with the rainbows. That'll be in our gift shop and is readily available. Though all the stuff that's made here is in one section of the gift shop. We sell stuff from all over, but we have our stuff. Yeah. Yep. Just in case the fundraising dinner is September 19th here at the museum. So if you want to get a ticket. Sarah's going to flare the top. Everything that we make here has to be cooled slowly or it'll break. The slow cooling process is called annealing. We're going to take the glass off the metal rod. We're going to place it in that big black oven. That's called the annealer. And we'll slowly turn the temperature down overnight. If we and into the annealer to cool slowly overnight. So let's have a hand for the Museum of Glass Hot Shop team, Gabe Feenan, Sarah Gilbert, Nick Davis, and Eden Gibbons. So we start these by blowing a bubble of clear glass. That's what Nick in the maroon shirt is doing. And Eden over on the right is heating up some blue glass. We're going to coat the clear bubble with the blue glass. When these steel pipes get hot, we take them over to that trough. That's called the pipe cooler. We just spray water on the metal pipe. That cools it down and makes it easier to hold. How are you guys? So just to give you a quick, we're making these decanters that you see on, can we put up the decanter photo? Might be easier for you to see. Maybe not. There it is. So these are a limited edition decanter we're making for our annual fundraiser. Each year we do a different design. We make a decanter and 2 matching glasses. And we make a limited number of these things, and then we sell them at our annual fundraising dinner. These are all designed by our team and made by our team. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. Have you guys been here before?
I have visited.
You haven't? Okay. So just give you a very quick introduction to glass blowing. Everything that we do starts out in our glass furnaces. Those are the machines where you see the doors closed. Can we put up the furnace diagram? So that's what the furnace looks like inside. So in each of the furnaces, there's a big ceramic pot. In that ceramic pot is 1,000 pounds of melted glass. We keep the melted glass at 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 1150 Celsius. And at that temperature, the glass has the consistency of honey. It's like dipping into a big jar of honey. Each time we dip it in, only a certain amount is going to stick. So if we want a lot of glass, we have to build it up in layers. Each time we dip it in, it's called a gather. And sometimes when we're describing how big we want to make something, we'll say it's 1 gather, 2 gathers, 3 gathers. So the steel pipe that she's holding is called the blowpipe. And she's going to sit down at the workbench, and the man sitting to the left of the workbench, the person's going to be blowing. He's going to blow through that steel tube and inflate the glass as Sarah in the black sweatshirt shapes it.
So is this a team that works together on a regular basis?
Yes. This is our resident team of glass blowers. They're a museum employee.
Are you a blower too?
Used to be. So now they're going to shape the bubble with a tool called the block. It's a scoop-shaped tool. It's made out of wood. It's stored in a bucket of water. As long as the wood is wet, the tool doesn't burn. It doesn't leave any marks as we shape the glass. Sarah's given the glass a little squeeze, making a sort of narrow port at the top, which eventually will become the neck of the decanter. We're going to blow this into a mold, a wooden mold. The mold is on the floor in front of those metal stairs. We drop the bubble into the mold, close the mold around it, and blow and turn. So we not only have to inflate it, we have to turn it so that we don't get a little parting line where the two halves of the mold meet. So if we keep turning it as we blow, we get completely smooth surfaces. Do you guys have any questions so far?
Working on a piece, have they, when they're working on a piece like now, have they predetermined the shape and the color? Or does that evolve as they go through?
Well, for this thing, you know, we know what we make.
So they're all going to look like that blue one?
Yes.
Oh, so it's a, okay.
It's a limited edition piece. We make 35 of them, and then we'll never make that design again.
Okay, and they're all going to be blue?
They're all gonna be blue. They're all gonna be exactly the same.
The glass in there is blue, or they
What?
have the
It
glass
will
in there
eventually,
is blue, or they add the color on it?
We add the color right at the beginning. It's called a color overlay. Can we play color overlay? We have a little video show you how that's done.
The color in glass comes from adding various materials to the mixture of raw ingredients called batch. Most of the colorants are compounds containing some kind of metal. For example, adding cobalt to clear glass creates a deep blue. Tin and antimony can be used to create white glass, and gold chloride can produce a rich red or pink colored glass. Colored glass is melted in furnaces, just like clear glass, and then is usually rolled into bars for storage and easy application. In order to apply color bar to a bubble, we first need to preheat the color to approximately 950 or 1000 degrees Fahrenheit in a color oven or garage. Once warm, the color is then picked up on the end of a punty rod using a little bit of clear glass as a support. The color is then heated in the 2300 degree glory hole to soften it and make it malleable, while another artist creates a small bubble of clear glass on a blowpipe. Once warm, the color is dropped over the clear bubble, and then using a variety of hand tools or the steel marver, the color is rolled back over the clear in an even layer. This process is called dropping color, or creating a color overlay. Depending on the project, that bubble is then usually gathered over with clear glass and blown into the final form. The finished product may appear to be all made from colored glass, but when viewed in cross-section, we can see that there is only a thin layer of color sandwiched between many layers of clear glass.
So this is the color bar. So you buy these commercially like an artist buys paint.
Can I hold it?
Sure.
No. Color bar. They buy it like paint. So, what color is this?
I think it's scarlet. It's called. I mean, you know, people have names for colors.
Yeah, I just wondered, yeah.
Angel's Kiss.
It's red.
It's red.
Red. You buy it from two companies in Germany. They have like 200 colors.
Oh, I didn't know there were that many.
Expensive?
Yes. It's recently gotten more because of the tariffs now,
Yeah.
so it's gone up again. Most of the colors are not too expensive. The ones that are really expensive are the ones made with gold. Certain reds and violets are made with gold. These were originally made for the glass button industry in Czech Republic and Germany. So now Sarah's making sure that that bubble is centered. Working with glass is like working on a lathe or a pottery wheel. It's very important that the mass is centered. They're making these for the red hot. They always do it pretty early. You know, it's September, and then the summer is filled with a lot of residents. Just drips. Just clear drips. You'll see they just dab it on, and then they pull it away. No, it's supposed to be the decanter, the matching glasses. So each year they design a decanter and a matching glass, and they make 35 of the decanters, 50 of the goblets, and then that's a limited edition. It's kind of so everything that we make has to be cooled slowly. So we put it in that oven Over on the right side of the studio, that's called the annealer, and we'll slowly turn the temperature down overnight. If we just made that and put it on the table and let it cool on its own, it would cool too quickly and unevenly, and it would break. About the what?
About the team.
Yes.
They each are doing something very specific.
No. They're each doing something that's necessary.
No, I understand that.
No, but I mean,
that
they
question-
don't have fixed.
They each can do all of it.
Yes.
Okay, that was our question. Yeah.
So today, Sarah's leading the team on another project. Kate might be Nick, and Sarah.
So when they trained here,
They have all different stories.
yeah,
The man in a baseball and trucker hat. He learned entirely at work. That job in a glass shop in the early 20s. And just learned everything at work.
so it was like an apprenticeship.
It was a job. Sarah learned at a different art school, Rochester, New York. They all have different. That's it. That's just like you saw in the little movie. As you drop it on that's the blue. It looks orange because it's hot. You're seeing the glow from the heat now, but when it cools off, you'll see the blue.
So there's red hot and there's white hot.
Yes. That's, I don't know how sciencey you want to get, but it's what's called the black body radiation. Materials at a certain temperature give off a certain color of light. Like you notice it in packages of light bulbs, say like 2700K or 500,000K. That's the temperature at which the light gives off that color. And the white hot, it goes basically from dull red, orange, yellow, to white. That's where like the expression white hot is.
So these pieces here,
main lobby, you'll see we have a display. Kids come out with fun. Kids just draw whatever comes into their head. And we have to figure out how to make it because they know nothing about 4 or 6 or 8. They know nothing about glass. We're going to draw it. We have to figure out how to make it.
So you pick things that are really challenging.
Yeah. I mean, actually, there's a little space on the on the entry form where they can write a little story about what they do. Usually a little story that prompts us to make.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like that. Stories important.
Yeah, you'll see the display on the label. We have the story. Here it says. Some of them are pretty fun. Worth reading. It's been one of our most popular programs. Kids do it for 20 years. We get kids to come back as adults.
I didn't realize, time flies when you get older.
Tell me about it.
It seems like the kids are saying,
Oh, yeah.
do you too, right?
Oh, God, yeah. We talk about something that happened in the family. That was 30 years ago. That was 40 years ago. This museum opened in 2002. So, 24 years. The only time it gets really hot is when we heat the furnace to get the glass out. And usually just comes straight over here to the pipe cooler.
So how, what is the blowing in that allows you to tell what
It's just like blowing up a balloon. Blowing to make it go up. Oh, it doesn't, the air doesn't, when you, air reaches the outside of the pipe, it's not even blow.
Oh, okay. That seems very
There's a couple of things people think about in your own home. You think about a frying pan or something on the stove, and the handle starts to get hot. Those handles are like 9-10 inches long. These are 4.5 feet long, the pipes, so there's a lot more surface area to dissipate. Also, once the end of the pipe is covered in glass, the glass is insulated. So shields the end of the pipe from breaking. Handle of the pipe is in there. It's not that hot. It really gets hot right after we gather.
Or she has that.
So Nick on the left is blowing. He's blowing through that tube and inflating the glass as Sarah, sitting at the bench, shapes it. This arrangement, one person blows while the other person shapes it, is very typical of the Venetian style glass making. Started in 1979. A number of Venetian masters came here to the
I
Northwest.
saw,
Okay, very good.
oh,
Red Hot Gala. It's
Yeah.
a big fancy dinner and an art auction, and we sell. We make a limited edition decanter and matching glasses, and we only sell them at that event.
And what did they typically go for? I just
I think
got
they go
my
for around
ears out.
$350 decanter.
That's not outrageous at all.
No, I mean there's lesser. We also make this stuff like here. Here, we make this stuff for the store.
I like this. Like the swirl part.
Amazing. They do what they do, and they know what they're doing. They're not instructing, they intuit what's going to happen next. They can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, they are talking to each other.
Right.
You can't hear that where you're sitting.
Oh, they are talking to each other.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not quite as automatic as it seems.
Okay.
They're all. He's got Sarah and Nick. They've got 26 years plus. Kate has 30. That young lady, she's just graduated high school, or just
Oh.
she's been our intern. There's a glass blowing program in the Tacoma Public Schools. part-time.
people like us.
No, no, good people like you. I like people. Very interesting. Yeah, I work here part-time. I work here part-time here in the hot shop. And then I'm also working on their digital archive.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to digitize our collection. I also give lectures on the history of glass.
You give,
Lectures on the history of glass.
oh. Where were you trained?
I learned at the Massachusetts College of Art, Boston,
How long have you been out?
40 years. So we're going to take this off the metal rod. We're going to place it in our annealing oven where it'll be cooled slowly overnight. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming in, guys. We appreciate it.